people changing and growing from Zoom. I mean, it's really staggering, you know? People getting clearer inside, more open. Thank you. God bless you all. We'll have a meditation class. Muted everyone, and if anyone has a question, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Stuart, it seems like I'm wondering if I'm losing the energy. Like I'm filling up the gas.
Wait 1 second, please try and sit still. You know, I mean, it's, you know, every time people move, it really disrupts the energy. I know you're all sitting in your own apartments and houses and stuff, but every time you move, it affects everyone in the class and it disrupts the energy. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was pretty down before I started meditating now. And yesterday was really good, but today I was down and it feels like I'm filling up my tank and it's getting emptied sort of throughout the day. And the emptier it is, the lower my thoughts and emotions are.
Well, look, you know, the reason you're in these classes is to build a system inside to keep that from happening. Understand that, you know, the chakra system, if not highly developed, what you described is exactly what happens. You know, it's like working. You make money, you go out and buy food, this, that, the other. You need to replenish the money or, you know, you're in a lot of trouble. And this meditation is no different. You have to replenish it. You have to continuously rebuild the chakra system to eventually you get strong enough inside where that kind of thing doesn't happen. You know, I mean, we all spend energy every day, you know, in our jobs, in our families, friendships, or social things. Whatever we do, we're spending energy all the time. And that energy needs to be replaced. That's why I have these classes, you know, so that people can replenish the energy. And at the same time, they can build a chakra system that's strong enough that minimalizes that type of experience. So, you know, I mean, what you described is just perfectly what goes on with just about everybody, you know? And then you have to remember, my God, I have work to do on me to get strong enough to where I don't get drained by every little thing that happens in my life. When you talk about detachment, that's what detachment is. You have the strength inside not to allow life to drain you. Without that kind of inner strength, life is like a vampire, it just eats your energy. Most people we know are not doing deep spiritual work. They're not doing deep chakra work. They need energy. Well, they take it from other people. It's like communal vampirism, or people just eating each other alive. So you need to build a system that enables you to detach from that so that, you know, everything you do in life doesn't suck your energy out of you. And then the connection is real between oneself and a higher force in the universe. And that energy isn't being sucked out of us. And what you described is really the condition of literally most people. And what do people do? That after 50 weeks of working, they take a 2-week vacation, you know, and they think that's going to replenish them. It doesn't. We need to consciously work on ourselves because all of life is eating us. I mean, Rudy wrote a book called Spiritual Cannibalism. You know, I mean, it's basically what life is. Either you get eaten by God or you get eaten by life. And if you're strong enough inside, life doesn't eat you and your consciousness connected to spirit. all of the things you described and talked about are just reminders of, and even, look, I've been doing this a lot longer than, I mean, if you combine everybody in this class together, I've probably been doing it more years than all the time, and I still have to do this. I still have to make sure that I witness life, what it's teaching me, and I have to work on myself to keep my energy from being sucked out of me. In order to teach these classes, I have to do it. And then in these classes, there's a source of energy, Shakti. And then we have to take that Shakti, it's food, it's spiritual food, it's spiritual nourishment. I mean, I hope this is clear to everybody, because what you asked is something that just about everybody asks me. Why during the day do I feel like I'm being eaten, drained, low energy?
It's 2:00.
I get this all the time from people. And then I have to explain what I just did. If you don't do the inner work, that's what life does. I mean, you see a newborn baby, Candace sent a picture of her child, this beautiful toddler walking around with a lot of energy and glowing, And you look at people in their 70s, their 80s, their 90s. I mean, they're shriveled up. It's like, all of life has been sucked out of them. And it shouldn't be that way, because spirit inside doesn't get older, it gets younger. Just the body gets older, but the inner life, the vitality in a human being, if you do inner work, it gets stronger and stronger as you get older. I hope this is so important to not only, Skanda, but to everybody, including myself. We all have to, replenish ourselves, regenerate ourselves. It's like a resurrection inside each and every one of us. And the only way that can happen is if we have the strength to take spiritual energy and allow it to strengthen our chakra system. Otherwise, life consumes us. I mean, look at people in their 70s, 80s, 60s, 50s, and what happens to them. Please try and sit still. Don't fix your hair. Let it be what it is for the next 5 minutes, and you understand and learn something from that. That's what happens. I mean, when I was a kid, I was 16, I read a poem by T.S. Eliot. It scared the hell out of me when I read this poem. And when I grow old, I'll wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? This is what happens as people get older. They get less vital, less creative, and it should be the exact opposite. If you spend your time building the chakra system, you get more creative in your life. And I mean that. It happens to me. I mean, I'm talking to Ellie about, I said I'd never write another book. Now I'm talking about doing another book. And I don't, it's creative energy that's saying, Stuart, do this, Because the inner life of a human being doesn't grow old. What gets old is the body. But if the inner life is vital, strong, well-focused, the chakras are really developed, the creativity goes on till the day you leave the world. We don't shrivel up and die, And it's kind of a nice way to live, you know? You get younger inside, more vital, more creative. There's more wisdom that comes through you. You're more open to receive the energy of God, the wisdom of God, and to allow it to guide your life. It's incredible. And it all depends upon what we do. You know, the universe is ready to give us all of energy and creativity. It's what we do, how we build ourselves to receive it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And this might be something difficult to swallow because most of us, including myself, we can get pretty lazy, you know. We are masters at procrastination, of putting things off. We're masters at it. We're really good at that, you know, and this requires the exact opposite. Living in the moment, you know, being able to work through all your stuff, building a strong chakra system, having that need to have a spiritual life in you that really motivates you to do what you have to do in your life. And also being able to laugh at yourself is really an important ingredient in this equation. Not taking yourself so serious. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart. This is Jessica.
Yes, Jessica.
My question is about, as a person who has executed, created many books that have their own life and, you know, have their own influence and have gone on to taken on, you know, people read them and then you just let go of them. And you get this from your building of a system. Oftentimes so many genius ideas, my brain wants to take charge, comes in while I'm trying to work and I shut it down. I say, that's not the time. How do you manifest that creativity when what's building it is the work?
You know, somebody asked me this question, sent me an email, and they're writing a book, and they asked me, how should they proceed with it? I said to them, let it breathe, let it live, let it guide you. Instead of you having to guide it, let the book, let whatever project you have and you're doing guide you. It will take you to exactly where it's supposed to go if you trust it. Problem is, we have to control everything. And when we control everything, we congest everything with our own ideas, our opinions, what we think. Ivona, you really have to sit still, dear. I mean, really, it's, you know, you try and sit still for another 5 minutes, okay? I really would appreciate it. Thank you. You know, we congest all our projects with us instead of trusting that this energy flows through us and it will guide us. I have never written a book in my life that didn't guide me to exactly where it had to go. And years ago, I just learned to listen to it. I have never had a project, including the businesses I was involved in, you know, people I've been involved, that I didn't allow it to guide me where it was supposed to go to. And it always found its watermark. It found exactly what it had to do because I trusted it. And it allowed things to be really successful, you know, in my life. So what I'm saying is you can have all these ideas, but then relax. You know, it's like I spoke about in the class in the Americas yesterday. You know, it's like I was listening to these incredible choral works by Bach, you know, and Handel, you know, E minor Mass and the Messiah. And I was watching the singers, and it was effortless. This beautiful sound was coming out of these people, extraordinary voices, but it was effortless. And you realize, well, where did the effort go? The effort went in building and developing a system inside that was strong enough to allow the creativity to flow through them effortlessly. And I think we all have to learn that. I mean, these people almost barely moved their lips, and the sound coming out of them was extraordinary, the singing. And I said, my God, this is really what spiritual practice is all about. Learning how to build a system that allows that creative energy to flow through us effortlessly. Is that clear, Jess?
It's crystal, sir. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
How do you distinguish the voice of God from the voice of yourself?
Look, the voice of God will never take you to dead ends. You know? Your own voice will take you into very strange places. You know, and also as part of that inner development, you learn how to open and keep the chakras open, and then you listen to the higher voice. It's a higher energy that talks to you. You know, when the chakra system is closed, it's your mind yakking. And it's going to take you into a lot of dead ends that don't go anywhere. When that higher voice guides you, it really opens up the path to enlightenment. And through all the activities that you have to do during the day to take you there. So it's, and also it's just, how do you distinguish? It's the growth that takes place inside you. It's the evolution of your consciousness so that you don't distinguish. It just is, It just happens. It just works organically. And you don't have to think in your head, is it me talking? Is it God? This just flows through you. And it really guides your life. It's incredible how it works.
I noticed when I'm doing work, when I'm working in school, I have a voice guiding me, which I'm just listening to, and it's going naturally. It's going really well, actually, and I'm not like super experienced with that type of work.
That's how it works.
But otherwise in my life, more in my like sort of home personal, there it's difficult. There my mind is.
That's what this class is about, getting strong enough that you can cross the bridge from one thing to another. Look, when I was in business, I was in a business that you couldn't reorder anything. I used to be, years ago, I had a candy factory, a bakery, and I could reorder things, but the art business, you can't reorder anything. It's all based on intuition, inner creativity. And then you begin to trust that. The art you look at talks to you, and it became very interesting how deeply connected that business became to my spiritual life. Because I couldn't, there were no patterns. There were no, you really had to go from thing to thing intuitively. And the intuition always guided me best. I remember once when I first was in that business, I opened a gallery, I bought a sculpture that I thought was an 18th century Chinese sculpture of a Lohan, and it turned out to be fake. I didn't pay a lot of money for it, but I kept it on my desk and I kept looking at that. That sculpture saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars because it made me look more carefully at everything I ever had to be involved in. And I paid, I think, $200-300. I must have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars because of that sculpture. So everything works for you if you listen, if you let it, if you learn from it. And I think that's the wonderment of using spiritual energy to open. It works in your economic world. It works in your family world. It works in your relationships. It works in everything you do. It works when you teach. It also works when you have to do other things in life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be a meditation. And look, just to finish this, have patience with all of this. You can't get this in 1 minute, you know? It takes time and it takes evolution and it takes deep inner work for the things I talk about to manifest in a person's life. So if you're not there, right, don't beat yourself up. It just means that you have to invest more time in developing a system that can do it. Eventually, it really comes. It came to me when I was younger, and I tell you, I was in much worse shape than most of you, frankly, when I was a young man. And eventually it came. But it was work. It was daily focusing on the practice, opening, being in classes, listening to my teacher, trying to develop the things he said inside myself. So have patience with yourself, really, because ultimately this evolves and it becomes a reality. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, there'll be class on Sunday, and God bless you all, and thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend. Bless you.